can kind of come in, squeeze in a little bit more. My name is Nancy. I help make chocolate here at CHOCXO. So I'm going to take you through how it's harvested all the way to when you eat it, okay? So behind you is a replica of a cocoa tree. They keep it grown between 6 and 8 feet, so it's easy harvest. The cocoa pod in it are covered by a pulp, and each pod has 30 to 40 beans inside. The pulp inside of it is really fruity. It's kind of reminds me of pineapple or papaya. Each pod is harvested by hand. They cut it down with a machete, and they know when it's ripe by the feel of it. Like you would do avocado, you would feel it to know that it's ripe. So after the beans have been pods, I should say, have been cut down, come down here. They're then harvested. The harvesting process takes anywhere from 5 to 7 days, and you can scoot down a little bit more so everyone can fit in. This process usually takes 5 to 7 days, and they're put in wooden boxes like this, and they're throughout the process they're turned so they can have even fermentation. The fermentation also helps with the flavor. It helps develop some of the nice flavors, like more fruity flavors in the chocolate. After the beans have been fermented, they are then laid out to dry because they have so much moisture. We want to get some of that moisture out.
So are the beans washed from the white pulp?
No, they're just fermented right into the boxes because that pulp helps with the flavor development as well. Huh. And it's part, it has the sugars in it. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. Those are the beans that are in like this, and he just pours it into there.
They dry into the brown?
Mm-hmm. All the white will dry up.
I've never tasted the white pulp. Is that marketed?
Yeah, you can actually buy it. We actually buy ours. I think it's from like Brazil, but you can usually find it in the ethnic aisle in the grocery stores.
And what is it called?
It's just called cocoa pulp. Yeah. If you do our scheduled tours, you get a tasting of it. So if you ever want to come back into the lab, you get a tasting of it. So this the drying process takes 7 days, and they evenly turn them to make sure they're all dried. You can see here how they push it into this shaft because it rains a lot, and to ensure to keep them dry. After they're drying, they're put into jute sacks like this, and then they're shipped to us. We buy our beans by the metric ton, so we have a warehouse in Riverside, where we have all of our enter our lab. They're kept in the warehouse, and the roasters here, this big red machine here, we have a vacuum system that vacuums them up into the roaster to ensure that the raw bean doesn't get into the lab to contaminate anything. Depending on the variety and the bean, we roast it anywhere from 240 to 260 degrees, from probably an hour to an hour 15, depending on the size and which variety it is. We also inject 10 seconds of steam to help sterilize the bean. The roasting process also helps to develop flavor like it would nuts or coffee. It helps bring out that natural flavor in it. After it's out of the roaster, it's cooled down and then put into our winnow machine. The winnower, what it does, it cracks the entire bean, and you're left with the nib, which is also the inside of the bean. You can taste the nibs here. I believe these are Trinidad nibs. So the machine cracks it, and it's all vibrating, and it goes down into different grates, and then we have a vacuum system that sucks up the shell, so all we're left with is the nib. After the winnower, it's entered our grinding line through this hopper here, and it goes through a stainless steel blade first, and it's crated into liquor, and also it's known as cocoa mass, and it's just basically the nibs ground up. Now, because the beans are naturally 50 to 55% fat, just by agitating it, it becomes liquid. It's very bitter, yeah. If you taste them, they're very bitter.
Yeah.
We sell them chocolate-covered nibs. They're really tasty. You can taste them. There's spoons here. Anyone else want to try? No?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if no one else wants to try, we can move down here. Continuing with the grinding line, after the stainless steel blade, it's pumped into a ball mill. It has 200 pounds of stainless steel balls, which the liquor flows through and breaks down the particle size, so it's nice and smooth. We have to pump it through usually twice to make sure that the size is small, so it gets nice and shiny and a smooth texture. After that process is finished, we then mix it depending on what recipe we're using, or if we're making a 60%, 70%, 80%, that's when we'll add in the sugar. This is our huge mixer right here. The liquor's in those holding tanks, and we mix it in here. After the product is mixed, it enters the roll refiner, which has stainless steel rollers. Through hydraulic pressure, it pushes together, kind of like, you'll see it here, kind of like this. It pushes together the particles to help break down the sugar inside the cocoa solids. And we do this process twice to ensure that it's the right particle size. If you don't get the right particle size, you'll have a more gritty texture. You can compare our chocolate to like Hershey's. They'll be a little bit more grittier because I believe their micron size is around 30. Our end product is around 18, so it's nice. It has a nice feel to it. A way to think about like the size of a micron is a strand of hair is 100 microns. So that's a good reference. So after it's turned into the slate, it enters our conch, which is essentially like a big mixer. Inside of there's huge arms. This process takes anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, and what it does, it helps release any of the acidic flavors, and it helps homogenize it to make sure it has a nice texture to it. Depending on the recipe, at this stage we'll add more liquor to help get a more rich chocolate flavor. We'll add cocoa butter, and we'll add soy lecithin. The lecithin helps take away any more of the moisture. Water and chocolate don't mix. After it's finished, it's poured into these big buckets here, 40-pound buckets, and then it's shipped to Canada, where we have our molding line, where they make all the chocolates that you see behind you. That's it. And then down here you can taste, we have a 70% Ecuador and a 70% Dominican Republic and Peru.
So you don't make the chocolates here, they all made in Canada?
Yeah, all the ones you see there are made in
What
Canada.
did you choose Irvine to be a processing facility?
I believe our owner, he already had this this building as a pastry shop. So they used to do like a test kitchen for pastry supplies and stuff like that. So he sold that company and he wanted to make chocolate. So he bought all the equipment and turned this into his lab. And he's also part owner of Canada, the molding line up there. So that's why we send it up there and then send it back.
So this is Dominican Republic.
70%.
I'll try some Ecuador.